Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Random University. As you can see, I'm wearing some brand new merch from the store. Everyone should go there and check it out. TrueExactRadio.com. Go to the shop, buy some Random U merch right now.
Yes,
Right?
and then tag us in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Post your pictures.
And then we'll post you. Yeah, post your pictures, then we'll post you.
Yeah. So today I am joined by my co-host Elly as usual. Elly, how you doing?
Good. It's Sunday, which, whatever. But, good. It's sunny. It's not snowing here, so I'm not too upset.
Hey, look, we haven't had snow in. It's so funny that I even have to say this. It's like, oh, our last snow was 4 days ago. It's ridiculous at this
I don't
point.
miss that.
I
I
think,
don't miss that.
here in New Jersey, we're finally out of the woods when it comes to snow because now
Okay.
it's going to be March. So you always get those like random uh, snow showers possible because it still gets kind of cold some nights. But for the most part, I think we're kind of out of it. But who knows?
Yeah. I remember we were visiting our family in New York in April one year, and we're like, it was our spring break. We're like, it is spring break. And it snowed. And we just looked at our mom and our dad like, what the fuck? Like, this is spring break and it's April. We don't have we don't have clothes for this. Like, fuck you guys almost. But yeah, and then when we lived in Wisconsin, we had snow up until April, and it's like, what the fuck? But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
don't miss it.
up there.
Happy it's your
Would.
problem. Oh yeah, because
I
you have,
can't.
I don't know if it gets, how often it gets into the negatives by you, but like the high would be -5 and the low would be -11.
That's crazy. I can't like weather like that. Look, I don't think this winter. I don't think it got into the negatives at all. It definitely has before. Like know exactly what it feels like, and it's just not
But then
pleasant.
like to stay,
Oh
no,
no,
and then
no,
for it
not at
to
all. I
stay
can't.
there for days.
Yeah, like we may get one morning where if I get up to go to the gym at like 4 a.m. I'll walk outside, my car will say like -1. But like by the time I leave the gym, it's
Right,
at least 12. So it got out of the negative. But to
right.
stay there, I don't know about all that. But
It's brutal. It's brutal.
yeah, fuck the weather.
Pretty
it's,
much, yeah.
it's controlled by devices at the poles. But that's a whole nother. Speaking of weather and things in the sky, today's
Ooh,
episode
yes.
is all about aliens. Now, personally, I am a believer. 100%. I don't think that we can be the only ones in this universe, in this galaxy, in this dimension, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. There has to be some other type of living beings. Now, whether they're intelligent or not, I don't know. I mean, everyone sees all the stories about the UFOs and obviously the government with the CIA having the UFO disclosure, saying that they've been studying it for the past 50, 60 years, which, side note, I don't understand why anyone trusts the government anymore because they just admitted they were lying for 60 years. Right or wrong?
And they did purposefully put crack cocaine into low-income communities like South Central Los Angeles. That was real. That's not a conspiracy theory.
Aliens,
Our government did that. Yes, aliens and crack. Okay,
aliens, they go hand in hand. Yeah,
they
but
do. They absolutely do.
like I'm personally a believer, not to the point where I'm eccentric about it, where I'm like, oh, aliens are real, and I'm trying to profess it to everyone I know. I really
I
don't.
need to have an experience.
I mean, to be honest with you, and I'll tell this. Now, this is something that happened to me when I was a little kid. And most people brush these stories off as like, oh, it's ridiculous. You were a little kid. You didn't know what you saw. Or,
Right.
people have claimed like Travis Walton, the guy who was abducted, the Steven Spielberg movie that was made about him. Everyone says his story is ridiculous. But everybody has a truth. Everybody has something that they believe. Now, this is something that happened to me personally. I was a little kid. I couldn't have been more than 6 or 7, possibly. See, I think 6 or 7. I was outside in my front yard playing one day. I was just like throwing a ball around, running back and forth, stupid shit little kids do, right? And it was kind of an overcast day. And my brothers weren't out there. My parents weren't out there. I was just out in the front yard playing by myself. Now, I don't know exactly what compelled me to look up, but something made me look up in the sky. And when I looked directly up, I saw this. It was like a ball of light and it changed all different colors. And it was like red, yellow, blue, green, orange, purple, white. Like it just kept flipping like that, like kind of like a strobe light type.
Wait, wait. You sure it wasn't one of those Jew lasers? Like, you sure it wasn't a
Could
Jew laser?
They didn't have to develop yet. Julie, at that time, because what were we talking about? That had to have been 1993 or 94, possibly.
Okay.
So Jew lasers were probably in the talks, but
In their
they didn't,
infancy.
yeah, they didn't exist yet. Not to the full force they exist today. But
Right, where they're starting wildfires in California, obviously.
yeah, of course. But I looked up in the sky, saw all those lights, and I remember just being captivated by it. Like I just kept staring at these lights, and I was like, you're a little kid, you have no idea. You also, as a little kid, don't have years of people telling you, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Aliens are ridiculous. How could you believe in aliens? That makes no sense." So as a little kid, you really believe almost anything. So as I'm staring up into the sky, I have no doubt, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And one of the weirdest things was I found myself staring at it. And like I said, I remember this very vividly. I feel like I stared at it for had to have been a minute, 2 minutes possibly. But when
Oh,
I
wow.
look back, yeah, but this is the thing. When I look back down, like as I like lost the gaze of it, I looked back down and it was dark outside. And I remember that very well. Now, I went outside towards late afternoon, 3 o'clock, and this was like springtime. So we're talking like late
Yeah, so
April.
you should have had broad daylight. Like, you had plenty
Yeah,
of daylight left.
exactly. So
And
there's
you're
no
pretty far
way,
north, too. So, like, the
mhm,
sun's not going to set to like 7:30, 7:45 by you either.
at least. So we're talking about it's not even going to start getting dark late April, early May until 7:30 around there, right? So, like I said, I never said anything about it. I went back inside and just played video games or something. And I never really thought about it until years later. And I'm not saying I was abducted. That didn't happen because if it did happen, I don't remember a thing. They got away with whatever they wanted to. But I do remember that event very vividly, and it was really really weird. And from that point on, like when I started to recall that when I was maybe 11, 12, 13 possibly, when I started to recall that, that's kind of when I started thinking like there's got to be something else out there. It can't just be us. And as far as our government knowing anything about it, I think that there are high level officials and there are a specified group of people that do definitely have some sort of knowledge of what's going on outside of our small world. Um, but obviously, they can't disclose something like that right out because you're going to change the world. You're going to change how we live. You're going to restructure every single thing we know about life in general. Because
I
now there are,
mean, well, no, you're right. But I mean, we have a bunch of mouth breathers thinking that a guy that lost in a fair election was cheated and is that he's magically he's going to be like reinstated as president on March 4th, just so you're aware. That's allegedly happening. um and you've got all these people thinking, about like Pizzagate and all this other crazy shit. So I feel like there's the government's probably like, as a population and as a country, we cannot handle this right now. We have our own craziness we need to let kind of settle first before we do anything else. But yeah, I feel like just where we are at as a civilization, this is not the time. put him back. Put him back in the closet. Put him back in Area 51. Leave him there. We cannot do this right
which
now.
is yeah, which is a very fair thing to say. I will agree with you, but I will add to your point though. I think a lot of the craziness that we've seen in the past 4 years and last year especially is almost like a sort of conditioning leading us up to the point of saying, hey, we just went through a pandemic. People are doing crazy shit all over the place. Donald Trump was fucking president for 4 years. Uh, what else do you want?
Murder
We've
hornet, murder hornets, murder hornets.
that.
Which what
That's what I'm
happens with
saying.
those?
There's so many there's so many small details also in there, just the small day to day crazy stuff. So I feel like in a way they're almost conditioning us to get us to a point where that if they were to say, "Hey, we found life somewhere else," it wouldn't be that shocking. It wouldn't be like, look, take it back even 20 years ago. 20 years ago, if somebody comes out, some official in the government just comes out and says, "Hey, we found life somewhere else," people lose their shit because you're talking about everybody's fundamental belief is we're the only ones here, right? So
Which
now,
I don't know why. That's very ignorant, in my
yeah,
opinion. Like,
I agree with you. I don't see why you could say hey, we're the only ones, but for the most part, I feel like everyone's fundamental belief is that we are the only ones here. We're the only ones that have ever existed, despite all the clay tablets, Sumerian writings, and all this stuff, right? Um, all those are kind of up to interpretation. And I even agree with a lot of that. You can kind of spin anything the way you want it to believe and say whatever you want to make it to make it like prove your point pretty much, um, but I think that 20 years ago, they can't come out and say that because it blows people's minds. In the past 20 years, though, there's so many things that have gone on that now it really wouldn't be that shocking. And the reason why I say it wouldn't be that shocking, and I just want to go into like kind of the alien evidence over the past 4 years that has gone on. I mean, you have all of the documents that have been released by the CIA saying that yes, Roswell happened. There was a crash. Um, there also have been hundreds of sightings, thousands of sightings of UFOs, and they're all documented. And we have code names for all of them, and we have similar craft. And then you get the people like Travis Walton, who was abducted, one of the most famous abduction stories. You also have Bob Lazar, who worked at Area
yes,
S4, which is an offshoot of Area 51, where he was reverse engineering the alien spacecraft. And that to me
right,
seems to be, that to me is one of the most compelling stories because this is a guy who is educated. He went to MIT, right? He's extremely smart. He's a propulsion expert. He built his own rocket car. He worked for I forget the university that he worked for before he went to work for S4, but um, he had so many details of everything that went on there. The engine, the anti gravity machine that they were trying to reverse engineer,
right,
the
right. And
ele-
they were literally bending gravity around like we were. I was just
exactly
watching it a little bit before with John, and they're like, it's physically bending gravity around it, and like that's how it stays invisible because when you're bending gravity, you're bending light, like you're bending all these other things, and so like that's how it remains invisible, and it can control how fast it goes by essentially craving its own, not craving, creating its own like gravitational field. And what's crazy about that, this was all done like at a area like right in McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, and my parents have a house there. So now I'm like, well, random university might need to go take a trip to McCarran Airport and accidentally end up on a tarmac and just see what happens and maybe get blacklisted. But it could be worth it. Just saying.
whatever. If you found something, it would be worth it. But the thing that is most credible about someone like Bob Lazar to me is he is very reluctant to tell his story even when he was on Joe Rogan. I mean, Rogan had been trying to get him on for some time. He didn't want to come on. He didn't want to talk about it. He was tired. He didn't want the attention anymore. He didn't
Yeah, because
want.
people are like, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. Then you get like the Westboro Baptist Church and crazy televangelists being like, God's going to kill you for saying these
Yeah,
inflammatory things.
yeah,
Crazy hate mail shit. And then you also get the kooks that are like, I had an anal probe on my ass, and it's like, no, you are schizophrenic and we need to get you actual help. Like, I'm happy you were here, but we need to get you serious medical like help that you need. Like he gets like both extremes, the
yeah.
poor guy.
Yeah, you'll always get both extremes with anything, like anything that you're going for, especially with when it comes to like aliens. You're going to get those people that are super, super religious, and I mean, which is kind of hypocritical in a way for people that are super religious because you don't believe in
Right.
beings in the sky, but you believe in an invisible man in the sky. Okay, cool. Um, not dissing anyone who is very religious out there. I don't care. You can believe whatever you want. It really doesn't matter to me. Just don't force it upon other people. But yeah, his thing of not wanting to really share the story that much, he doesn't want the attention. And the other part of it also is like, why would a man who is a professor, who is someone that's very intelligent, um, essentially give up what they love doing, their career, to say, hey, the world needs to know about what's going on there. That's something that strikes me very heavily because it's like if all right, if somebody had said to me like, all right, Brian, you got to stop working out, because you found out some information about something and the world needs to know about it. I mean, that's a heavy
Fuck yourself.
decision. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's a heavy decision to say, like, okay, I'm going to give up this thing that I love because the world needs to know about what's going on out there. And the reason why I think people get kind of mixed up about this stuff and they say, oh, it's not real, the government would tell us. I don't think there's a lot of people in the government that know about it. I think it's all on a need to know basis. And someone like a president does not need to know unless there's some sort of a threat. Why would the president need to be told, hey, yeah, hey, Biden, you just got elected. By the way, there are aliens. They're real. They come here. We're going to let you talk to them on Tuesday. There's no reason for it. So,
No.
all the people that are waiting for the government to disclose something, it's not coming. NASA is not going to say anything. Um, but I just believe that people like that who come forward, even Dr. Stephen Greer. Do you know who he is?
No, that name I'm not familiar with.
Check out the documentary called Unacknowledged. He was a trauma surgeon, legitimate doctor. Okay, he had gotten wind of the same type of stuff that Bob Lazar was talking about. And his whole premise is why he gave up being a doctor and focused fully on getting the government to disclose what's going on, was because they have a device apparently that they can produce energy, and that's something that they could share with the world, but they choose not to. So now,
Well, that's so
someone
crazy
like
because that changes the laws of physics. Like energy cannot be created or destroyed. Like that, you're literally going to have to rewrite science and the way that we know that the world works. And I mean, like science is how the world works. Physics is how everything works. And you're basically saying we're going to have to rewrite everything. Like what?
but that's what I'm talking about as far as you're going to blow people's minds fundamentally. Like, because everything that I mean, we think that we know everything about Earth and we've got it all figured out here. For the most part, mathematics, calculus, and stuff like that. We can calculate most things, but what if we're wrong? What if we're wrong about anything? It blows people's minds, and bringing that information out is not something that's very easy. But back to what I was saying about Stephen Greer, his whole thing is not exposing aliens, and I just want the government to say that there's aliens. He wants them to share the technology because there's people in the world that are suffering that could benefit from this, and he's tired of it. He's tired of seeing third world countries that can't get electricity, that can't get power, that can't get food, that can't get water. We can produce all these things for free and give these people a means to live, but we choose not to. And that's why someone like that, to me, is very credible because number one, you're not doing it for fame. There's no money involved in it. He's not on TV shows constantly. Any of the films that he's been in, he's produced himself. He's paid for. So it's really this one guy trying to get this stuff out there. So I can really get on board with something like that.
Right.
You know what I'm
That, and
saying?
it seems like just this, yeah, and this stuff, like when I was watching the Bulbasaur stuff, it's like that's a crazy. I mean, that to me, to lie about all of that, and then to that just seems like why it's just so out there. It's like why would you lie? You know, there's so many things to lie about. But I mean, people are that crazy and kooky. Not saying that they are, but like it just seems like this is just so profound and out there. Like it just doesn't seem like is it worth the lie to make it up? Like I can't be worth it. Like having potentially ruining your career and your life over something, over a lie. Like, I mean, granted, people will do that stuff, but it just seems like this is so, I don't want to say polarizing, but in a way it is that it's just seems, again, like, why would you make any up? Why would you lie about that? I feel like there's really no reason to lie. Like
Yeah.
lying and making that stuff up gets you nowhere. It's not going to take you anywhere, except maybe in a institutionalized or blacklisted from every science school, every whatever. You're basically you're going to be a joke in the science community, and
Yeah.
so it's like, why would you risk all of that for something made up? That makes no sense. That's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion on
Especially
it.
when there's no
Right, you have
monetary
nothing to
gain
gain
for it.
from
It's
it.
not like they're yeah. All they're really trying to do is help people because apparently they have this technology that could help a lot of people, but they choose not to use it. They and what I think is kind of going on is I think they're trying to find ways to weaponize it because think about it.
Probably.
If you're the first country with a UFO and something that can go off this planet, you have control of the world. There's no question. Because if you can have a vessel that's going to go from one spot, and this was the Tic Tac one that was in San
Yeah.
Diego, where they saw it go from it was 6,000 feet above sea level to 60 feet
Right. And then went to
in
like right at sea level. Right.
yeah in a snap. Like it was literally immediately. So to have control of something like that, you're automatically a superpower. Nobody can fuck with you anymore. No country can fuck with you because you know what? We can go over there. You won't even see it fucking coming. We'll drop a bomb and be out before you could even blink. So to have a power like that, that's really what I think they're mainly trying to use a lot of that stuff for. But I really think with a lot of the events that have been leading up to where we're at now, with the Perseverance rover that landed on Mars, I think that they're going to not yet because it's too soon because it just got there. Um, but I think at least by June they're going to find something, and they're not going to disclose it right away, but they will kind of give notifications of it because I feel like disclosing um, life forms from another universe, galaxy, whatever, it has to be done kind of incrementally. They're not just going to come out and say like, "Hey, look at this alien. His name's Joe." Like, and then Joe's just going to
Yeah, I
be
got
on,
space drugs.
yeah, be like this, right? Like, it can't be that quick. But what they can do is they can say, well, the Perseverance rover on Mars with the newer technology that's available now was able to find uh, microbial bacterial life. And
Single
that's where
celled
I
organisms.
exactly that's where I think it's going to start. Because immediately right there, if you have that, then somewhere else there has to be more complex organisms because it within the same solar system, here we are, and then on Mars, there's some sort of microbial, bacterial, single celled organism or something, and that's where I really think it's going to start. Like I said, I would say almost around June. because right now would be way too quick, and I don't think people are ready for that. But I think along the way they're going to continue to like drop hints, you know, like
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard listened. They released the audio of like what Mars sounds like. Did you hear that?
No, what the I'm imagining air, I don't know, like white noise
Well,
like it is here.
yeah, it's like it's just like silence. There's a wind gust that kind of comes along. But I mean, you don't hear anything, but it's the first time that they're able to actually hear on another planet, which is amazing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean that is because I mean you can who knows? They've got I mean it's Martian wind. That's the correct term for. I bet you they're gonna find if they find oil, we are going to be on Mars so fast if there's
Why do
oil on Mars.
you think Elon's trying to get there? Because he's trying to milk that planet dry. I don't know. I don't think there would be oil or anything like that there, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know. But I really think with all of the alien stuff that has gone on over the past 5 years, then with the whole raid Area 51 thing, and then all the documentaries
Yes.
that come out. Listen, I also, and I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, and people have looked at me like I'm crazy, but I think Joe Rogan is in on it. He knows something. He's
Of
had
course.
way too many alien related podcasts in the past 3 years. Like, really, I'm talking about really like ramping them up. Like, he's had, like, prior to about 3 years ago, I would say maybe he'd have like one person and they'd bring up aliens and like they would have a little bit of a like 15, 20 minute conversation about it, then they'd move on. But now he's really getting guests that are talking more in depth about beings from other worlds, other planets that are inhabitable. Like, just maybe it's a sign of the times, maybe it's a sign of like technology advancing and they're able to study further out into different galaxies. But I just personally feel like he's got to know something. I mean, he talks to them. I mean, we get to see when they talk, but like we don't see what goes on when the cameras turn off and the mics are off. And like, if you're Joe Rogan, how could you not have a Bob Lazar there and be like, dude, like, did you see fucking aliens there? And for, this is not recorded. This is not going to be viewed. This is between me and you. And Joe Rogan seems like a pretty stand up dude. He's not going to tell anyone. He's even said before, like, Bob Lazar has told me shit that I can't ever say and I won't say, you know? So things like that, I'm like, he's got to know something. He's got to be part of something. And the fact that his podcast is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So why not start getting people comfortable with hearing, oh yeah, well we have spacecraft. Yeah, there's potential bodies somewhere that the government has. I don't think anything's in Area 51. I think ever since people, ever since the whole rumor thing started with Area 51, they had to have moved things out of there. There's no way they would still keep things there. I don't give a shit if there's an underground bunker somewhere. They had to have some sort of a contingency plan just in case if that place was found out. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it's also sometimes that's the best defense too, is hiding in plain sight.
That is true. But I don't know, with something of that magnitude, hey, look, all the UFO sightings could be them just test flying these things places.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, what was it? It's like in a way it's almost like a conditioning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I bet you the first time somebody saw a plane in the air, they probably freaked the fuck out, you know?
There's military aircraft that's crazy looking. Like I live in a port city, and there's so obviously we've got Coast Guard over here. There's an army, and like you'll see every now and then I'll be at the beach, and there'll just be this crazy military aircraft. Like this thing had, I want to say like five rotors on it, basically. Like it looked like some type of alien craft, and I mean it's clearly like a military aircraft, but it was just like that's crazy looking just for like normal everyday. Like that's just something you see every day, and that's just military aircraft. So I mean. We, maybe the inspiration for some of our newest military tech has come from some of these things that we found and discovered or other scientists have found and discovered. I mean, I feel like you don't just reverse engineer something just to reverse engineer it just because you want to learn about it. you want to learn about it so then you can exploit it.
No.
Let's be honest.
Mhm.
So it's not
Of
just,
course.
I wanted to see how you made
Yeah,
it.
you
I'm
want
just
to learn
curious how
about
you made it. No, I want to know how you made it, why you made it, and then
it. No,
what can I do with it? What can it do for me? But yeah, it was this crazy. Like I mean, of course, I took
exactly.
a picture of it. I'll send it to you later. But it's just like this thing was crazy looking, and again, it was definitely like some military aircraft, but it looked like an alien aircraft almost. It's just like I've never seen something with like that many propellers on it, and like that weird of a shape, and had like it was weird. It was weird looking, and it was kind of unsettling too, because it's like, why are you here? What's going on? Yeah. So
Yeah, but I think things like that, like having sightings more regularly, it makes people more comfortable with it. I mean, for something as unnerving as that is, because we've never seen life anywhere else, so we don't know what it would look like. We don't know what its intentions are. Now, if you watch all the movies about aliens, obviously they show every one of them as like they want to come here and kill us. But my issue with that is if aliens were real and aliens were to come here, why would
they would
their
have been
only
killed our
mission
asses
be to
already.
kill
Like,
us? Well, I think that if
well,
they're
right.
advanced enough to be traveling through space and time, I think they would be more advanced than let's just blow this place up and kill everything on it. I feel like the more the more intelligent you become, the more you value life and the more precious you see it. We're not that advanced as a civilization. Um, Me personally,
No,
we like to
no.
think we are. We like to think we've progressed to the point like, oh, we're at like the apex here. We're at the top. But I think we couldn't be further from the top. I think there's more I think there's more order in the animal kingdom than there is amongst mankind. And a
Because
lot of
animals is
people
very straightforward. There's no sneaky shit with animals.
that's what I'm saying. There's more
The animals
order.
like it's
Yeah.
we're content and you're cool over there, I'm cool over here, or it's I don't like you being over there, so I'm gonna do something about it. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna just kind of hang out and no. The animal world, the animal kingdom, it makes a lot of sense, but it's very straightforward. Just saying that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and that's why I say there's more order in the animal kingdom than amongst mankind. Because then the exact example you gave of I don't like what you're doing over there, so I'm gonna put a stop to it. And it's like, for what? We fight each other over the color of our skin. We fight each other over words. We fight each other over you looked at me fucking wrong. Like we're as primitive as cavemen in a way, socially. Technologically, it's another story. Yes, obviously, we live in houses, we have electricity, we have running water, we have sewer systems, we have everything. But socially, and just as a species on this planet, I think that we're still not too far out of the cave, to be honest with you.
Fuck no. Are you kidding me? That's the thing too. Like to speaking about not being too far out of the cave. I mean, there's a reason why men, I don't want to say not all, obviously it's not all men, but why men are more inclined to cheat. And if you look at in the animal kingdom, there you don't see monogamy is not as common in the animal world as it is in our world. Like, granted, there are bird species, there are mammal species out there that are monogamous, but vast majority not monogamous. And so why do you think men stray and cheat? Because there's still that lizard brain primal side. You want to spread your seed, you want to reproduce. That is essentially your goal. That is why you're here. You are here to reproduce and make more of you. Women, it's like, yeah, we want to reproduce, but we also are looking for safety and comfort and security. Okay, so I need, so primal me is like, okay, yeah, look, strong man, okay, yeah, this will work. But then it's like, again, man's side is I want to just keep spreading the seed. And it's like if you could take it back to that like
Mhm.
primal thing, and it makes a lot of sense, like why men are more prone to cheating. Not saying that every man does, and that like men can't obviously overcome that, but it's like if you look at it from an animal perspective, monogamy is not very common, even in the animal kingdom.
Mhm.
So why we expect it to be common
Yeah,
for us because we are also animals.
yeah. Well, I think, I mean, as far as like marriage and things like that go, I feel like just love in general is It's a chemical reaction in your body. Like you're physically attracted to somebody. You like everything about them. It's a chemical process that goes on. And it doesn't matter. You can love a person, you can care about a person, but that whole feeling of like, oh, I just want to be with them all the time, it fades. You become friends with people, you care a lot about someone, but that doesn't mean that that connection is still just as strong as the first time you two saw each other, right? And that's something I feel like, because we're human beings and we're able to understand our feelings or think we understand our feelings, um, we've kind of, it's like we've almost monopolized that in a way, because getting married, and again, this is just my opinion, but getting married to me seems like it's a business agreement for tax purposes. You get a higher, you get a higher.
Does your wife know that?
Yeah, I tell her all the time. I'm like, this is all bullshit. Listen, every bit about it. I mean, you said, like, you brought up the point that men cheat. Men are more prone to cheating than women. Not that women don't want to cheat,
Right. Yeah,
you
and
know.
not that women don't cheat. Women cheat. Men, everyone is capable of cheating. That's not the point. But if you look at it statistically, men are more likely to do it.
Mhm. Men are more likely, in my opinion, because not because they don't care about their wife or significant other or anything like that. It's just we're still animals, even though
It's that lizard brain. It's the lizard
yeah,
brain.
even though we've advanced past living outdoors and having a giant hairy body, and we clothe ourselves and we groom ourselves, like, we're still animals at the end of the day. So why in the world would an advanced civilization want to come here? Because the first thing we would do is try to shoot them out of the sky. Violence. Our
Accurate.
when we're afraid or we're confused, we're violent. When we're happy, we're violent. It's in our nature to be violent, because things on this planet, things in the universe are violent. So I think that definitely is everywhere, but I don't think we're past the point yet. We haven't evolved to that point mentally where we could really be capable of understanding that there is another form of intelligent life out there. And I think that's why, if they are out there, they haven't exposed themselves. And I remember I
No, we're
saw,
probably a science experiment to them.
in a way, you know, what's one thing
Let's be honest.
I actually thought about this one time. Um, what if every single creature on this planet is just um, an alien from another world? Like they came here and they put, like, okay, we're a planet of ants. Let's put an ant there. We're a planet of lions. Let's put a lion there. We're a planet of octopuses. Let's put octopuses there. And let's see how they all interact together. Because if they can all interact well together and live together, then we can be a collective galaxy or a collective dimension or whatever it is. And we could travel from planet to planet, because the humans won't go to the ant world and kill all the ants. And the lions won't go all the way over to the elephant world and try to kill all the elephants, because they can all get along together. Sounds
It's an
ridiculous,
interesting perspective.
but it's just something that I thought of. I don't, I
Oh, well,
mean,
I want to go
look,
to the dog planet.
that would be an awesome planet.
I want to go to the dog planet. But that's very true. You're right. When we are scared, and if you look at it, like if you look at your dog, there's nothing more dangerous than like a nervous animal, because nervous animals react and are violent. And so that's why, people that have nervous dogs, they're like, oh, I don't know why my dog bit someone. It's like because your dog is constantly in a state of anxiety and nervousness, and they're uncomfortable, and that's their only defense is to attack or to bite to defend themselves, because they're in this constant state of, oh my god, something's wrong. And it's like, so I tell people, it's like you can tell when a dog is nervous, and it's like you need to back up and leave them alone. And you're right, when we're nervous and we don't understand, it's kill it, kill it, I don't get it, kill it, it doesn't make sense, kill it. So
It's kill it or
yeah, and then
trap
and
it.
then again, right, and then again it'd be, y'all got any space drugs, like I
Yeah.
feel like that'd be the next thing, like what kind of space drugs you got any
Well, to
space
be
meth,
honest,
like
I think they left all the drugs here, because have you ever read into how Nikola Tesla used LSD to communicate with beings from other dimensions.
Wouldn't you just be like his hallucinations though?
Well, you can argue that, but I mean, what about something like a DMT, where or like a ayahuasca,
Right.
where people use that and they've gone other places. Like everyone out there watching this, if you've made it this far, go on YouTube and put in DMT stories. Now, these people that tell these stories, they're very vivid and they're extremely lucid in whatever reality that they go into. And they're well aware of what's going on. They understand that they're under the drug, but they almost get separated from who they are here. And they go into this other world. And I'll just leave it at that because I can go very deep into those stories, but they're extremely interesting where people talk about meeting other life forms and saying, like, oh, like if it was me, like, oh, Brian, you made it, like, let me help you out with this, let me help you out with that. And like, they've used it almost as a tool to understand themselves better. And it's not just a drug and like the way everyone looks at drugs, like, oh, you just want to get
Yeah,
high.
no. No, yeah, DMT or like ayahuasca, it's one of those introspective drugs where it's like you go within yourself and really discover who you are.
Yeah, like you find out like all the bad shit that's going on inside you that you're not really paying attention to all the time, and it makes you just discover things about yourself. But Nikola Tesla used to use LSD to speak to other beings, and he was not, I mean, the guy invented crazy shit. So it's not like he's a
Death
kook.
ray.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, it's
Right.
not like he's crazy and like, oh, this is just a drug addict telling us crazy stories. Like, he found a way to communicate with something else, and possibly that something else was giving him the information that he needed to do all the things that he did. You know, and the government, the CIA, has all documented information about using LSD in experiments to try to communicate with something else. It's all out there. So it's not something that's so far fetched where it's like, oh, well, he was just hallucinating and it's just crazy shit that he was talking about. Well, there had to have been something to it because the government used LSD on people, on soldiers and things like that to test them, to see, find out what they saw, what they spoke to, what they heard. And it's all documented. It's all very interesting stuff. But I'll leave it at that. Go on YouTube and search DMT stories. Very, very
Hmm.
compelling. But
Hmm.
yes, overall, though, I think that we're going to get some type of disclosure this year, especially with the COVID relief bill and how they put that the CIA has 6 months. Well, every government agency has 6 months to disclose all the information that they have on UFOs, anything on aliens, anything at all. So why would they want to put all that out there, and why would that be kind of on blast if something wasn't going to be coming sometime soon? You
Or
know,
this is a distraction from something else.
could be. It's not like they haven't done that before. 9/11.
That's my yeah. God. Bush did 9/11. We all know it.
I
But
really, I swung
um
the fences on that one.
you what?
No, I said I swung for the fences on that example.
Yeah. But it could be we're you're right, we're in like the prepping stage and they're just like giving us little factoids here and there and seeing how the general public responds to it and like the receptivity of it and how it is received. Or this is to lead us astray off of something else. It's like here, what throw them
Yeah,
that carrot while we go deal with like the main thing over here. They're distracted, like like what I do to my dog when I leave. Like I throw a bunch of treats and then I run out the door. Like it works. It works.
yeah, it does. And to your point, we are animals, so why not distract us with something crazy? But who
Mhm.
knows? I hope to see something, and like I said, here on February 28th, 2021, I'm making my prediction by June. and I hope I'm not wrong on this. I would look like such an asshole.
And I'm
But
going to put this in my calendar, actually.
I hope by
You'll have
June.
till the end of June. You'll have to the end of June.
Yeah, June. What? There's 30 days in June, right?
June 20. You have till June 28th. I'm going to put it in my calendar
Okay.
right now.
Okay. I have till June 28th for the government or NASA or some science agency to admit that they had found something on Mars or somewhere else, wherever it is. We're going to get some sort of disclosure this year. I have faith that that will happen. What do you think, Ellie? You
You
have
got
anything
5 months.
for the year?
Excuse me. Um, yeah, but I think again, I feel like I'm sure they're going to find some form of life, but then people are going to be upset because it's going to be a very basic form, like a single-celled, prokaryote type of thing. It's not going to be a multicellular thing like us.
Yeah.
And, because if people think life, they're like, oh, a baby or, a puppy or trees. They don't think this single celled organism that, basically has like some flagella and a shopping bag for a brain. But it's like, no, that's a living organism. If you look at a jellyfish, it's like a shopping bag with a brain, pretty much, a very primal, primitive brain, but it's still a living organism. But I think people are going to be upset with like, why isn't it more advanced? Like, it's like, okay, we got to study evolution. This is
Of
why we
course.
have to keep evolution in schools. But, um, but I'm sure I mean, I would be more surprised if they didn't find any like single celled basic organisms actually. So I agree with you. Is it going to be a complex organism? No. I would be very shocked if it was. And if it is, then they probably have already found it and they're definitely not telling us about it. So if they have found more complex, like multicellular, like eukaryotic things like us or plants and animals, then I it'll probably be another like 5 years before they tell us about that. Because I'm sure if they've probably found it and they're just like, let's withhold for this for right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it in my
Well, because
calendar.
they want to. It's like anything. They want to understand something fully, or as much as they possibly can, because you can't just put something out there. It's like if I discovered like I don't know, this notebook right here, right? If I was like, check out this notebook. Nobody's ever had a notebook. It's so cool. And somebody was like, well, what does it do? And I'd be like, well, I don't know, but it's a notebook. Isn't it awesome? Like, you can't,
Right.
you got to know what's going on. So this way, at least when
Yes.
people ask you questions, you can explain, like, oh, well, this notebook, it has a cover, it has a back. I mean, there's paper to write inside. You can do all sorts of things with this, even if it's limited, like you got to know something about it. So that's why it won't be like, they could have found something today and people at NASA might be losing their minds and they might all be held there by gunpoint saying, don't you say a fucking word to anybody or we will kill you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very hopeful that something comes this year. Like I said, I don't think it'll be something complex. I think it'll be very, very simple, which is still it's the biggest discovery that'll ever happen in our lifetime. If we get that far with
Absolutely.
to find some form of life on another planet. But
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoyed this episode today. I hope you took something away from it. That I'm not just a crazy, ridiculous person saying like green aliens are coming from the sky to abduct us all and stick things in our butt. I didn't say that.
Although if you and I do disappear between now and not June, June, I am going to kill you. Just putting that out there. I will kill you.
I'll be I'll
If
be your only.
something happens to us. What did you say?
No, I said I'll be your only way out. Trust me, I'm prepared for that situation, just in
Yeah, like
case.
I feel like this is gonna be out, and then the government's gonna come knocking on my door and be like, "It's time to go," and I'll be like, "I'm gonna fucking kill him. That's it." I'll be like, "Can I just kill him for you? Like, you don't even have to put a
No,
gun to his head or
I'll
my
be,
head."
I'll be I'll be in whatever facility they bring you to, and they'll rip the bag off your head, and I'll be sitting there, and I'll be like, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna fly across the room and just choke you out. So yeah,
Hey, but at least we would have proof. I would die happy, honestly. I'd be like, all right, I know.
that's fair. That's fair. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. find us on Instagram, email us. We want to hear from you guys. I love like getting that feedback kind of stuff. So that's just me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Leave some comments under the video. Go on our Instagram, True Exact Radio. Go on trueexactradio.com. Check out the shop for the merch.
Yes, merch. Yes.
All new stuff up there. The Mark Side of the Ring podcast is getting some brand new merch. That we have a couple new logos made for them, so they'll have some brand new stuff up there. And also check out the Just Animals podcast. That's Elly's podcast over here. In case you guys haven't checked it out yet, go take a listen. It's very entertaining.
Yes, I would agree. And yeah, and you and Scott are going to be on it. And I think April we decided.
Yeah, we'll get
Yes,
there if we
we
make
will.
it to April.
Perfect. If we make it, I will so kill you. I'm not kidding. I will literally kill you.
This, for everybody watching, this will be the last time you'll see us if we both get abducted. So enjoy your lives.
Yes. Take it easy, everyone.